Hello everybody, it's Tarun. Welcome to your 11th tutorial in the CSS for presentation course. In this tutorial, I'll start with background positions. So without wasting the time, let's start. The background position property specifies the position of the origin image in the background. And you can think of the origin image as the first image that is placed in the background from which tiling image extend. Okay, so first of all I'll tell you the values for the background position. Okay, the values are length measurement, percentage, left, center, right, top, bottom, and it can inherit also. The default value is 0%, 0%, and it can be applied to all the elements and it do not inherit. Okay, so to position the origin image, you provide horizontal and vertical values that describe where to place it. But there are a variety of ways to do it. So first way is keyword positioning. The keyword values left, right, top, bottom, and center position the origin image relative to the edges of the element's padding. For example, left positions the image all the way to the left edge of the background area, and the default origin position corresponds to left comma top. Okay, so I'll just show you the example. Okay, so these are two examples for the background position. Okay, and they are typically used in pairs. So you can see here left bottom and right center, and if you provide only one keyword, the missing keyword is assumed to be center. Okay, and if what I mean to say that if I just remove the center from here, then uh, the earlier one right center and this right has same effect, because whenever we are giving only one keyword, it will assume the second keyword as center only. Okay, the next way to describe the values is length measurements. You can also specify the position by its distance from top left corner of the element using the pixel measurements. Okay, and when providing length values, the horizontal measurement always goes first. So I'll just show you one example now. So here the background position property name will remain same. Then I can write 200 pixel and then let's say 50 pixels. Okay, the first value 200 pixels is for horizontal and the second value 50 pixels is for vertical. The next way to describe values for background position is percentages. Percentage values are provided in horizontal vertical pairs with let's say, I'll just show you. Okay, uh, with the 0,0%, it is referring to top left corner, and 100% will refer to the bottom right corner. Okay, and it is important to note that the percentage value applies to both the canvas area and the image itself. So for example, the 100% value places the bottom right corner of the image in the bottom right corner of the canvas, and as with keywords, if you only provide one percentage, the other is assumed to be 50%. Okay, which means it centered. So here you can change the value, let's say 54 or 45. Okay, so this is one way to show you the percentages. Okay, so now I'll just show you one figure where you can see the different positioning of the background. So these are few examples of background position. Here I have specified background position left and bottom. Then here you can see the background image is in the top, in the left bottom corner. And if I have given right center, then you can see here it is in the center and in the along the right margin. And if I give some pixel value, then you can see it is at that distance, where 200 pixel is the horizontal distance and 50 pixel is the vertical distance of this point, which is the top left point. And the fourth example here is the percentage one. Here you can see the 15% is for horizontal and 100% is for vertical. Okay, so now let's move forward to the next topic, which is background attachment. So uh, when we can use the background attachment property to free the background from the content and allow it to stay fixed in one position while the rest of the content scrolls. So I'll just tell you the values first for the background property. Okay, these are the values. The values are scroll, fixed, local, which is new in CSS3, and it inherits also. The default value is scroll, okay, and it applies to all the elements. So with the background attachment property, we have the choice of whether the background image scrolls with the content or it stays in a fixed position. When an image is fixed, it stays in the same position relative to the viewport of the browser. Okay, and you'll see what I mean. I'll just tell you. So in the example which I'm going to show you, a large non-tiling image is placed in the background of the whole document, which is the body element. So I'll just show you the example first. Okay, an image has been placed in the background of the body, and by default when the document scrolls, the image scrolls too, and moving up and off the page. Okay, so I'll just show you how. Just a second. Okay, so these are the three examples of the background attachment property. uh, the first one is a large non-repeating background image in the body of the document. The second one, okay, uh, is the background attachment scroll, and by default the background image is attached to the body element and scrolls off the page when the content scrolls. And this third one is the background attachment fixed, and when the background attachment is set to fixed, the image stays in the position relative to the browser viewing area and does not scroll with the content. Okay, the local value which was added in CSS3 makes a background image scroll along with the content inside a scrolling element, and it is independent of the browser viewport scroll, and it is not supported in Internet Explorer 6 through 8 or Firefox. Maybe it is now supported in the latest version of Firefox. Okay, so now let's see the next property, which is the shorthand background property. Okay, so just a second. We can use the background property to specify all our background styles in one declaration. Okay, so the values are, as you all know, all the background property, which are like background color, background image, background repeat, background attachment. Okay, and as for this, the shorthand font property, the value of background property is a list of values that would be provided for the each individual background property, which we have done so far. So I'll just show you one example now. Okay, so uh, we can define something like this, that in the body, and we can just use the shorthand background property. Then I can define for the image, then repeat, and then the position, and then attachment. Okay, I can also define color here. So white I have defined, and you can also define in this manner. So the benefit of the shorthand property is that you can define all the properties in one line. Okay, and all of the property values for background are optional and they can appear in any order. The only restriction is that when providing the coordinates for the background position property, the horizontal value must appear first, immediately followed by the vertical value. Okay, and be aware that if a value is omitted, it will be reset to its default. Okay, so now let's move forward to the next property, which is multiple backgrounds. Until now you could apply only one background image to an element, and to stack up background images in the past, the only solution was to add extra divs in the markup and to add an image to each one. But thankfully CSS3 allows multiple background images, which can be applied to a single element, and the browsers are beginning to support them. To apply multiple values for background image, put them in a list separated by commas. Additional background related property values also go in comma separated list. The first value listed applies to the first image. So I'll just show you one example, then you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, uh, the second value goes to the second image, and so on. The image defined by the first value will go in the front, and then others line up behind it, and they'll do that in the order in which they are listed. Okay, and alternatively you can take advantage of the background shorthand property to make the rule simpler. And now the background property has three series separated by commas, three value series. So I'll just show you one more example, alternate example. Okay, so you can also define it like this. uh, so I'll just show you one example now, then you'll understand what I'm trying to say. So here you can see three images has been applied to the background. Okay, the first image, as I told you in the example, was in the left and top corner, and the second one was in center, and the third one was in right bottom. So you can see all the three images in the background. As with any new CSS3 technique, support is lacking in Internet Explorer version 6 through 8, and which will completely ignore any background declaration with more than one value. And the solution is to choose one background image for the element as a fallback for IE and other non-supporting browsers, and then specify the multiple background rules. Because it comes second, browsers that support them will override the single image with the multiple image rule. And as for all background images, it is a good idea to provide a background color if anything else fails, and put it last to the shortened background properties, and do not override it. Okay, now let's move forward to the next topic, which is gradients. A gradient is a transition from one color to another, and sometimes through multiple colors. In the past, the only way to put a gradient on a web page was to create one in an image editing program and add the resulting image with CSS. But CSS3 introduced the ability to specify color gradients using CSS notation alone, and leaving the task of rendering color blends to the browser. Gradients can be applied anywhere in an image where an image may be applied. Okay, so there are two type of gradients, which are linear gradients and radial gradients. The linear gradients change color along a line from one edge of the element to the other. Radial gradients start at a point and spread outward in a circular or elliptical shape. So first of all, we'll talk about linear gradients. The linear gradient, okay, just just a second. The linear gradient notation provides the angle of the line and one or more points along the line where pure color is positioned. Okay, and we can use the color names or any of the numerical values discussed earlier in the unit. The angle of the line is specified in degrees or using keywords. Using degrees, 0 degree points upward and positive. Okay, so I'll just tell you how. Okay, we define like this: n dig, where n is the numeric value and d refers for degree. Okay, and 0 degree point upwards, and positive angles go around clockwise, so that 90-degree points to the right, and therefore you want to go from yellow on the top edge to green on the bottom edge, and set the rotation to 180-degree. So I'll just show you one example now. Okay, I am just going to replace this in the background. Okay, I have replaced background image from for linear gradient 180-degree, yellow and green. So let's just save it and see what happens in the browser. Okay, you can see that it starts from yellow at the top and then moves to green at the bottom. Okay, the keywords describe direction in increments of 90-degree, to top, to right, to bottom, and to left. Our 180-degree gradient could also be specified with the to bottom keyword. Okay, so now if I replace this with to bottom, so now let's see what happens. You can see that there is no change. So what if I change it to right? Okay, now let's see what happens. Okay, you can see that it starts from yellow in the left and then goes to green in the right. So, and in the next example which I am going to show you contains a gradient which goes from left to right and includes a third color also, which is orange, and which appears 25% of the way across the gradient line. So I'll just show you the example. So I'll just set it to right only, and then I'll add here orange and 25%. Okay, and I'll just change green to blue now. So let's save it and see what happens in the browser. Okay, so you can see that it starts from yellow, then in 25% of the area it shows orange, and then blue. Okay, so this was all about the linear gradients. So now let's see the next thing, which is radial gradients. Radial gradients, like the name says, radiate out from a point in a circle, and the name for this is does go like this: radial hyphen gradient, and it describes the shape, which can be circle or ellipse. The circle is the default if no shape is specified. Okay, and the position of the center of the gradient uh, and a size is specified as a radius, length, or a keyword that describes the side, a corner where the last color should stop. Okay, so I'll just show you one example, then you'll understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so background image, I have defined radial gradient center and contain yellow green. So this is how we define a radial gradient. Uh, so now let's see what happens in the browser. What happened? Okay. So I think there is not support of radial gradient as of now. Okay, so I've just shown you how to use the radial gradient. Okay, so this was all about the radial gradient. Now let's move forward to the last topic of this unit, which is external style sheets. Okay, um, in the earlier unit, when the CSS orientation, I told you that there are three ways to connect style sheets to a HTML document. Okay, which are in line with style attribute, embedded with the style element, and as an external .css document, linked to or imported into the document. So in this section, we finally get to the third option. External style sheets are by far the most powerful way to use CSS because you can make the style changes across an entire site simply by adding a single style sheet document. This is that is the advantage to having all the style information in one place and not mixed in with the document source. First, a little bit about style sheet document style. Document style. An external style sheet is a plain text document with at least one style sheet rule. It may not include any HTML tags, okay, and it may contain comments, but they must use the CSS comment syntax, uh, which is, I'll just show you. Okay, this is the CSS comment syntax. Here you can write any comment. Um, so the style sheet should be named with the .css extension, okay, and I'll just show you how to use the elements in the CSS external style sheet. There are two ways to refer to an external style sheet, which are the link element and an import rule. So I'll just tell you both. First of all, I'll tell you the link element. The best supported method is to create a link to the .css document using the link element in the head of the document. Okay, so how we can use it? So inside the head, okay, I'll just show you here. Inside the head here, I'll also can use in the title, inside the title or inside the head only. So I'll just show you how. We need to type in an element, say link space rel equals to, in double quotes or single quotes, style sheet, okay, and then href attribute for specifying the link. So I'll just, let's say, some path, and I have named my style sheet dot css. So this is how you can link any style sheet to an element, to an HTML document. So you need to include both the attributes in the link element. The first one is a rel equals to a style sheet. It defines the linked document's relation to the current document. The value of the rel attribute is always style sheet when linking to a style sheet. And the second attribute, as you all know, is href, which is for a URL, and it provides the location of the .css file. And you can include multiple link elements to different style sheets, and they'll all apply. And if there are conflicts, whichever one is listed last will override the previous settings due to the rule order and the cascade. The next and the last topic in this uh, unit, uh, you can say the second last, not the last, is importing with import @import. Okay, so @import we'll use. I'll tell you how. This other method for attaching an external style sheet to a document is to import it with this import rule. The import rule is another type of rule you can add to a style sheet, either in an external .css style document or right in the style element. I'll just show you how. Okay, in the style element, we can use it like this: import space, then URL, and in the bracket we need to describe the path of the our external style sheet in the inverted commas. Okay, so in the example I have shown you, relative URL is shown, but it could be an absolute URL, which means it can be a CSS external style sheet which is there on the web. Okay, you can use direct web link also. The import rule must go in the beginning of the style sheet before any selectors. You can import more than one style sheet and they'll all apply. but rules from the last style sheet listed take precedence over the earlier ones. So now let's see the last topic of this unit, which is modular style sheets. Because you can compile information from multiple external style sheets, modular style sheets have become a popular technique for style management. Many developers keep styles they frequently reuse, such as typography treatments, layout rules, or form related styles in separate style sheets, and then combine them in mix and match fashion using import rules. Again, the import rules need to go before the rules that use selectors. Okay, so this is a good technique to keep in mind as you build experience in creating sites, and you'll find that there are some solutions that just work for you, and it is nice not to have to reinvent the wheel for every new site. Okay, modular style sheets are a good time saving and organizational device. So this was all from my side in this tutorial and in this unit. In the next tutorial, we'll start with the next unit, which is thinking inside the box. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next tutorial.